Hi, Toastmaster Art here with another educational video for the Toastmaster Art YouTube channel. This time it is going to be the Vice President Education Club Officer Training session. First, a little about me. Wait a minute. Who put that picture from the November 2015 District 38 conference in here? Oh well. It is just 2 days today after Turkey Day 2025, so what the hey? I suppose I can just let it slide. As I was saying, my name is Arthur Farnsworth, currently serving as club treasurer and sergeant at arms at my home club, We the Speakers, and club treasurer for my other club, In Person Toastmasters. But I have at this point in my 22.74 years as a Toastmaster served in every club officer position. I have also been an area director. I was the Division G director back in the Go G days here in District 38 in 2016, and also have served as the district parliamentarian. Welcome to this video presentation of the Vice President Education Club Officer Training session. The purpose of this session is to help Club Vice President's Education understand their role in the Toastmasters Club. Congratulations on your election to the office of Vice President Education. In that role, you have a wonderful opportunity to be a resource for new members in your club and a guide for existing members as they all work toward their education awards. Let us get started. Here is what we will be looking at today. The 3 R's. No, not reading, writing, and arithmetic, but rather role, responsibilities, and resources. Here are our session's objectives. You should be able to identify your role within the club. You'll know how to fulfill your responsibilities within the club and the club executive committee. And lastly, you'll be able to find resources that help you fulfill your responsibilities. A great place to find information about your role is the Club Leadership Handbook. You will see how to obtain that near the end of this presentation. Before we move on, though, I'd like you to consider the role's essence. As Vice President Education, you ensure that members understand the education program, and you also know those members' goals and enable them to achieve those goals. Next, as Vice President Education, you coordinate the club schedule. You assist with education awards, you plan speech contests, and manage the mentor program. The last point here, a reminder. Everything you do as Vice President Education supports the club mission. Do you remember what that is? Search your memory banks as we continue to the next slide, where I will reveal the answer. Here is the extract from the club constitution which describes your role. I include it because some of these things might already be familiar to you, but some of them may be new. I'll just hit the highlights here. The VPE is the second ranking club officer and is responsible for planning, organizing, and directing a club program which meets the educational needs of the individual members. As VPE, you also chair the club education committee. Outside of the club, you're going to be serving as one of this club's representatives on the area and district councils. That's quite a bit, and that's a good definition. Yet there are many day-to-day responsibilities that make up your role as Vice President Education. We will look at them shortly, but did you remember what the club mission is? We provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. let us take a closer look at your responsibilities and the tools you can use to fulfill your role. Your VPE responsibilities fall into three categories: the club meeting, outside the club meeting, and the club executive committee. We start now by exploring your club meeting responsibilities. Your club meeting responsibilities are split into three time frames: before, upon arrival at, and during club meetings. Before club meetings, you need to review the scheduled roles for the meetings. It is suggested to do so 5 to 7 days in advance. Be aware that you're going to have on occasion, we'll call them late signer uppers, that are going to wait until the day before or the day of even to sign up for a meeting role. You are responsible for getting the agenda set up. But remember that once the Toastmaster comes on board, he or she takes control of the agenda and also takes on the responsibility for filling any unfilled roles. For point number 2 here, you're going to offer support to the Toastmaster. That would consist of confirming members' role assignments and planning for substitutions if necessary. For the third point here, it is suggested that you schedule education sessions from the Better Speaker Series, the Successful Club Series, and the Leadership Excellence Series to be delivered by either you or other experienced Toastmasters in the club. Continuing on with your responsibilities before club meetings, firstly, it is recommended that a member from your club conducts the Successful Club Series programs Evaluate to Motivate, Moments of Truth, Mentoring, and Finding New Members for your club at least once per year. I will add that all of these presentations are available as videos on the Toastmaster Art YouTube channel. I will share with you how to access that when we get to the additional resources part of this presentation. For point number 2 here, you should notify the club president if any members are scheduled to earn their education awards at the upcoming meeting. You might wish to make a big deal of this by holding the occasional awards ceremony. I talked on a previous slide about the late signer upper people. If you wish to avoid this situation, or at least mitigate it, you might consider having a meeting role sign-up sheet passed around at your club meetings. Here's the question to you then. How does your club encourage members to sign up for meeting roles? Club management systems like Free Toast Host and EasySpeak allow members to sign themselves up. Some clubs pass a sign-up sheet like I'm showing you here at a current meeting, which shows the available roles for future meetings. If you use Free Toast Host, the Toastmaster and those officers granted access to agenda settings can generate the meeting sign-up sheet shown here. Let's now look at your responsibilities upon arrival at a club meeting. When you arrive at the meeting, verify that the members assigned to the various meeting roles have arrived and are ready to perform their duties. For example, you want to ensure that the prepared speech evaluators have their pathways evaluation forms, and that other evaluation team members, counter, etc., have the appropriate worksheet, log, and instructions. At We the Speakers, people filling roles are expected to bring the necessary paperwork. For example, the prepared speaker and the prepared speech evaluator should coordinate on who's going to be bringing the evaluation paperwork. When it comes to the counter, the timer, the grammarian, etc., those folks should bring the necessary worksheet or log, although we do keep a supply on hand, again, for those late signer uppers. For the third point here, if you do have any no-shows, assist the Toastmaster in filling meeting roles for those absent members. When you arrive at club meetings, you and the other officers should be greeting guests. However, you should also ask those guests if they're willing to participate in the meeting, or if they would just prefer to observe. If the guests agree to participate, inform the topics master that he or she can call on those guests as table topic speakers, and ask the club president to introduce those guests at the beginning of the meeting. At We the Speakers, the club president greets guests regardless of their desire to participate, and the Toastmaster of the day also asks all attendees, guests included, to stand at the beginning of the meeting and briefly introduce themselves. How you handle this is going to vary from club to club. Let us now turn our attention to your responsibilities during club meetings. The first two items on this slide apply to the old education program. Although for the first item here, I want you to be aware that there is a Pathways achievement chart. I will show you how to get that when we get to additional resources. As a Vice President Education under Pathways, you are one of the club's 3 base camp managers, and you need to approve level completions. For the last point here, I suggest that you recognize members when they earn awards. That could be the icebreaker speech, a Pathways level completion, etc. Choose a way that works for your club, but do it, as member recognition and encouragement are key to a successful club. Wrapping up the list of your responsibilities during club meetings, be aware that if the club president is not in attendance, then you, as the second ranking club officer, will be presiding over the club meeting. This, of course, also applies to a club executive committee meeting. Second point, answer member questions about the Toastmasters education program or speech contests, and agree to research questions that you just don't have the answers to. Let us now move on to your responsibilities outside or between club meetings. The first here is to plan club meetings. Well-planned meetings are enjoyable for everyone. The VPE's primary responsibility is to ensure that the club is meeting the members' needs. Consider using the member interest survey. Again, I'll show you how to get that later on. Second point, promote participation in the education program. Pretty obvious, but in order for that to happen, you as Vice President Education need to understand the education program and be able to explain it to your members. With regard to orienting new members, you as Vice President Education must help these new members prepare for their Toastmasters experience by explaining materials and procedures, matching new members with mentors, and I suggest arranging a new member induction ceremony. Work that out with the Vice President membership. Lastly, here on the slide, encourage new members to participate. I don't believe that needs any further explanation. Let us continue with your responsibilities outside the club meeting. Assign a mentor to every new member who wants one. Having a mentor is not a requirement, but it is highly suggested. The mechanism for matching a new member, that is, a protege, to a mentor varies between clubs, and the club management system that you use likely has resources to facilitate that. Much more on the mentoring coming up in this presentation. Second, of course, as an officer, you're going to be expected to attend club executive committee meetings, and as I mentioned earlier, presiding if the club president is absent. Thirdly, here, you're going to be expected to attend district council meetings and vote the club's proxy. You will facilitate member progress by verifying education, approving requests, and tracking progress on Basecamp. Note that you, the club president, and the club secretary are the club's Basecamp managers. If you have to step down from office, arrange for your replacement. If you need help, seek assistance. Remember, you are the chair of the club education committee, and one of its members would likely be a good selection. If your club doesn't have this committee, seek to set one up. You are in what I would consider the most important and, yes, time-consuming club officer position, so do not feel bad about asking for assistance. The last point here is obvious. Towards the end of the club year, you're going to prepare your successor for office. Now we are going to take a look at, in detail, a club mentoring program. First, I'm going to share with you the why. Why do we want to have such a program in our club? Here are 5 points of benefit that answer that question. It builds rapport between new and experienced club members. It helps members set and meet their goals. It provides access to an experienced member to answer questions. It helps retain members by providing support and encouragement to them. There is a connection between club success and having a mentor program in place. In case you didn't know, mentors can, and they typically do, serve just new members, but they also can serve experienced members. That would be folks who are looking to learn a new speaking skill or improving in a certain area, such as humorous speaking. Now, let us move on to the how. How do we put this in place? First, you should know it's going to take work. A successful mentoring program has to be coordinated and maintained. As Vice President Education, you manage your club's mentoring program by assigning mentors to new members and following up with both the mentors and new members, the proteges, on a regular basis. Mentors can be assigned, as I mentioned earlier, to experienced members on a project-by-project basis. For the last point here, I'm going to let you know that the Free Toast Host Club Management System allows members, proteges, to choose a mentor from qualified club members. I'm going to share with you now or next how my home club makes that happen with what we call our mentor pool. Our mentor pool page is a custom page that I created in Free Toast Host. At the top of the page, shown here on the left, it touts the importance of a strong mentoring program, explains the experience-based qualification criteria the club uses, and provides a screenshot of the Free Toast Host Mentor Protege request form, explaining its use and how the Vice President Education is involved. Below that on the page, shown here to the right, is a table which provides name and possibly a headshot of each pool member, along with his or her credentials under either or both of the former education program or pathways. Now that we've looked at your club meeting responsibilities, let us turn our attention to your club executive committee responsibilities. You're going to prepare and present reports on the club's education program performance, the club's mentor program, and award achievements. Share information with your executive committee on any upcoming speech contests. Remember, you are the go-to person when it comes to organizing those contest events. Here is the VPE Responsibility Action Plan. The action plan, as I see it, is a way to get you to consider 4 important aspects of each of your responsibilities. How will you fulfill this responsibility? In other words, what actions specifically will you plan to take? When will each action need to be completed? Who is available to help you? What materials and resources can you use? There are several resources available to you in your role as Vice President Education. Let us take a look. Club Officer Training, twice a year. Yes, go twice a year. As I said very early on in this presentation, download the Club Leadership Handbook and review your section. Also, the Vice President Education should acquire the Distinguished Club Program and Club Success Plan. Part of the transfer from one year to the next is to ensure smooth continuity. Talk with your outgoing and incoming teams to make sure that happens. Wrapping up this topic, I suggest that you invite 1 to 3 members to serve on your club education committee. You're going to want to meet with each club member to discuss his or her educational goals and to determine which award or awards he or she will achieve in the coming year. Lay out an educational roadmap so that you and the members have a good idea, not locked in stone or set in stone, but a good idea as to where each member will be when we get to the end of the program year. That can help you plan for the club success plan issues and also distinguished club program status for the educational categories. Here are additional resources available from Toastmasters International. The original slide had much out-of-date information, so this is my updated version. You might wish to pause this presentation and take a screenshot for your reference in the future. The last item on here is the link to the Toastmaster Art YouTube channel, which I mentioned a couple of times in this video. As we wrap up, consider a few things. As Vice President Education, your role encompasses many responsibilities. You've seen that. You're going to be busy if you do your job the right way. Point number 2, planning meetings and providing new member orientation and support to reach awards are important components to the role. Third, assigning mentors and facilitating the relationships between mentors and proteges helps to build a strong, enduring club. Fourth, serving as Vice President Education, here's a benefit for you, enhances your ability to motivate others, build organization and leadership skills, and strengthen your ability to set and achieve goals. That concludes the presentation. I hope that you have found it helpful. Please feel free to post below any suggestions or comments that you might have. Good luck in your term as Vice President Education. Make it a great Toastmasters Day, and thank you for watching.